Hi, welcome to Cookalong Live with me, Jonathan. Today we're going to make Madras meatballs with an Indian fried rice, so let's get started. Let's talk about teaspoons. Teaspoon is normal 5 grams, half a teaspoon is 2.5 grams, and a quarter of a teaspoon is 1.25 grams. So when we talk through the recipe, there'll be a quarter teaspoon, there'll be a half teaspoon and a normal teaspoon. So just keep an eye out, I'll let you know which one to use. Okay, so what we're going to do to start is we're going to make our meatballs. So to a large mixing bowl, you want to add 500 grams of beef mince, which is 5%. You want to add half a teaspoon, so that's your 2.5 grams of garlic. You want to add a full teaspoon of onion granules. Now, if you've picked up one of our packs, this is all pre-measured for you guys. A half a spoon of garam masala as well. At this point, you want to add in a grind of salt, a grind of pepper, and then also add 1 egg. And then it should look something like this. And then what you're going to do now is you're just going to actually incorporate it all in. Make sure you get all the egg around, use both hands. This is the right time that the kids could get involved. If you've got kids, just get them to mix it all together. It's always a fun thing for the wee ones to do. So you just mix it all in. So it should look something like this. Now, it is a bit wet, but that's completely fine, because what you're going to do now is you're going to then section it off for 12 meatballs. So how we do this is we pick up a little bit of meat, we roll it on our palms of our hands till it makes a little bit of a ball like this, and then all you do after you've done that, you put it onto your board or your plate, and then you continue to do that for 12 times. Make sure they're kind of all around about the same size, just helps with cooking. If they're not around the same size, then it can be quite hard to gauge when they're fully cooked. So just keep doing it. And just make sure once you've finished your meatballs that you just wash your hands afterwards, because after you've touched raw meat, it's always good just to keep your hands clean before we move on. Now, if you don't want to make 12 meatballs and you want to make bigger meatballs, that's fine. Just make them to the size that you think your family will eat. These can also get frozen after you cook them. So if you make too much, it's always a good idea just to freeze it, and then you can have it for another meal. Hopefully you're getting to this stage where you kind of have got your meatballs kind of rolled out. Now, you can go and obviously buy meatballs from the shop, but we don't know what's in it. This way the kids can get involved by having fun, by kind of making the meatballs, but also you know exactly what's in it, and you can put in your different spices. So at the Penny Pit we also do meatballs with Italian seasoning, or we can add some Chinese seasoning into it. It just really depends on what the recipe says or what you feel like you want to kind of make. So with this, you've kind of got your 12 meatballs. Like this one's quite small, so just add, if you've got any meat left after your 12 have rolled out, then you can kind of make them the same size. So after this stage, we're going to put these in the fridge until we make our sauce, and then we're going to come back to it. But first, let's wash our hands. What I would recommend is put in some cling film or tin foil over your meatballs when they go in the fridge, just to keep it from touching any other thing that's maybe in your fridge. Now that your meatballs are in the fridge, let's start on the Madras sauce. So in order to prep for the sauce, we're going to use our onions, our peppers, we're going to use our ginger, our chilli and our garlic, and we're going to chop them up or grate them according to the recipe. Before we do that, let's start talking about knives. So it's really important if you're working with kids in the kitchen that you kind of use the knife safely and for yourself. So we always say during our cooking groups that we want to make sure the knife is always pointing down on the board, that they're not moving around when you're using the knives, they're always pointing down, and that whenever you've got something to hold, make sure it's in a claw and it's away from your fingers. Your fingers are always tucked in behind. This will allow you to use the knife safely, but also keep you safe, keep your kids safe whilst you're cooking with them. We kind of just say always a claw behind the knife and your knife is pointing down. That's your three things. If you do those three things, then we're kind of nice and safe. Now we've done that, let's go on to chopping up and preparing our veg for our Madras sauce. So let's start with our onions. Our onions you need to peel the 2 onions. So when we do this, we kind of peel the ends of the onions and all around it. So I'll just show you how to do that now. So you're just peeling around all the onion to make sure that you get it to a state where you can see white flesh. Now, it might take a bit of time. The bigger the onion, the more time it takes. But you can kind of see there that is when you get to that white flesh, that's when you know to stop peeling, and that's the kind of flesh that you want to use for your meal. So we'll just get this done. Yeah, so just keep peeling. It generally comes away quite easily. Once you've started doing one bit, you kind of know where the peel is, and then you can kind of just pull it right down, and then it all comes off, generally, sometimes even in the winter. So that is how you peel an onion. So I'm going to do it with the other one, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how to chop it. Always remember, once you have cut up or you've peeled your veg, always put it into a food waste bin, just to save the planet. I should have said, if you're cooking with your kids, we at the Penny Pit use our child-friendly knives, which is kind of like a safety knife, and that we use in all our projects, including our school programme. It just allows them to kind of cook with you, but also have a bit more safety when it comes to working with knives. We will put the link on our website, and we will attach the link actually at the end of this video as well. So now we've got our onions peeled, what I want you to do is I want you to take the tops off them. So we take the top off the bottom and the top, put that into your food waste bin. And now you've got onion kind of flat. It's better to have them flat, so then you are reducing your the movement of the onion when you're chopping, to stop you from accidentally cutting yourself. So for this recipe, we want it nicely finely chopped. So we cut it in half, and then you would cut it in half again. And now you've got 4 quarters. What you want to do after that is you want to put all your quarters to the side. You can kind of go 1, 2 I like to do, and then all you do is 2 long slits, and then you do kind of your small slits as well, and just keep going until you get to the end of the onion, and you keep doing that for all your quarters. So 1 long one, 2nd long one, turn it round, and then just chop, chop, chop all the way down for all your ones. And we're going to keep doing that. So 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. Just keep chopping until you have all your onions. Now they don't have to be all the same size, because at the end of the day they're going to get put into a sauce where you can kind of blitz it at the end if you want to kind of hide the veg. The Penny Pit, we do a lot of hidden veg in our recipes. So in our lunch club programs and in our school programs even, we kind of like to pump up as many veg into our recipes as we can, but also kind of make it tasty and appealing to the eye as well, because a lot of our tasting habits comes from how it looks. So what we normally do is when we hind veg, we kind of hind our veg by cooking it and then blitzing it. So that is your onion done. I'm going to the other one just because there's not enough space. When you've got all your onion on your board, what we're going to do is we're going to get a small bowl, and you're going to put all your veg into your bowl. Just like so. Now you can kind of play it by ear whether you want to chop up the full 2 onions. Now it says 2 medium onions in the recipe. So for me, I think that I'm only going to do probably half of the 2nd onion, because they're quite big onions that I'm using. So again, your quarter. The other half you can maybe use in another recipe. So you can either, what I would do is I would freeze it or put it into the fridge, wrap some kitchen towel, some cling film around it, and leave it in the fridge, and you can use it another time. Really good maybe in fajitas as well. Then we just do our 2 slits in here, and then we do our chopping. I know a lot of kids say they don't like onions, but when it's in a lot of the recipes that we use and we cook in the house. So the best way to cook onion is to make sure it's soft and cooked for a little bit longer than just flash frying it. So that is our onions done. After our onions, we're going to move on to our peppers. So onions are all in. Cool. So now on to our peppers. So our peppers, we say 2 peppers, 1 red, 1 green. And what we're going to do is we're going to de-seed it, and then you're going to dice the peppers. Very similar to what we used for the onions. You're kind of going to go round the pepper, trying to chop it up. I'm going to go round the pepper. That's what we mean by de-seeding. So we don't want any of the seeds actually in our recipe. So we try and chop round, making sure the flesh is nice and clear, of no seeds and no pulp. And we're going to do the same on the green pepper. So again, actually, you can chop the bottom as well, and you can use the bottom. So, not intentionally, but we have, so when I chopped, obviously I've chopped some of the seeds into the thing, into the pepper. That's no problem. What you can do here, I'm just going to move our veg out of the way, is you can take your food waste bin and just kind of go round if you want, you can be if you want to be careful, you can be careful with a knife, and you can go round, just taking all the pips out of it, and just kind of going in a kind of direction that all the seeds are in. And that is how you de-seed a pepper if you've accidentally put the flesh into it. Just be careful again with your knife, because you're kind of going towards your skin. Okay, once I've done that, we have got our peppers de-seeded, and now what we need to do is we need to dice them. So, how we dice our peppers is we're kind of going to go 3 again into the pepper. So we go 3 to the long ways. Now for the short ways, again, we just dice it into small chunks. I'll show you kind of roughly what the chunk size should be. Be kind of like this. So nothing bigger than this, but smaller the better. But you don't want to get too small that you're kind of fiddling around where your knife and your fingers are. So again, we just chuck this into your veg bowl once you've done them. It's always nice to have a clear board when you start something different or start something new on your recipe. So just kind of keep it nice and neat. Just keep adding to your veg, to your bowl. All this is going to get chucked into a frying pan in just a bit, so it doesn't really need to be that neat. It also doesn't have to be all put out like separately. You can all get chucked into the one bowl, and then we'll just chuck all the stuff into the frying pan with oil. So again, just dicing it, continuing to dice our peppers. Peppers are a great way, or a great thing to give to kids for snack. Snack's always a hard one to kind of give in school, even in the house, but carrots, pepper, cucumber go really down well at the penny pit. So we'll just keep doing our peppers. Always have the pepper facing down as well. You always want to chop to a flat surface. So if you had the pepper facing that way, it can roll. And if it rolls, it can also mean the knife will roll with it onto your fingers. So we always make sure that the veg or the fruit that you're cooking with is always pointing down on a flat surface. Just makes it easy for you to kind of hold one bit and chop with the other. Yeah, still doing your slits and then your short ways chops. So long way, 2 smalls, chops the other way. Now you might think this looks like a lot of veg into a recipe. These, all the time with veg, is it kind of goes down or simmers down to kind of a third of its size. So it really doesn't matter how much veg you put in. The veg coming out, it'll always be smaller than you think. So don't worry about that. So that is your peppers done. So right now you've chopped your onions, we've chopped our peppers, and now what we're going to do is we're going to chop our chilli. So with the chilli, we would say that we want to be careful with the chilli as well. So I'm going to talk through kind of what we say to the kids for the chilli. So the chilli obviously is quite hot. When you cut through it, the oil and the juices can make your eyes sting if you touch your hands afterwards. Touch your eyes afterwards with your hands, sorry, or any other part of your body. So we always say to the kids that once you've chopped your chilli, make sure you wash your hands and make sure you don't use any of the other stuff that's on your kind of chopping board or your knife until it's washed. So then we know that there will be no kind of presence of chili or hot stuff that could go into your eyes, go into your body and sting you. So let's chop up the chili. So for this part, we want to try de-seed it and then finely chop our chili. So how we do this is we're going to go around, similar to what we did with the pepper, go around the chili. All right, when you've chopped up the one bit, you'll know where the seeds are. So you want to go around the chili, making sure you don't have any of the seeds. The seeds are the bit where it is kind of the way it holds its heat. So depending on kind of how your family or your household deals with the spice, you could add some of the seeds in, but for this, or for our one, we're not going to add it in. So this goes right into your food waste bin, and then what you've got left is your chili flesh to cut up. Exactly the same kind of how we're going to do it as what we did with our peppers, is we're kind of just going to go down, you're going to do one slit right down our pepper, and then you're just going to chop it up. This time it has to be kind of finely chopped, so you just want to do small chops in the flesh. Just be careful that when you're chopping, obviously sometimes it can kind of go up to your eye, the juices. So just be careful. We always kind of chop chilies slightly further away, but still making sure obviously we're safe with the knives. Just so then we know that none of the juice is going to kind of pop up into our eye. So again, finely chopping. Doesn't really need to be that finely chopped. Also, I think what we'd say is if you've got a cut, chilies might sting your cut that you've got. And so we always kind of recommend that you wear either gloves if you've got a cut in your hands, or definitely plasters, blue plasters, or any plasters. It's kind of, so blue plasters we say so you can kind of see where the plaster is, but if you don't have blue plasters, any plaster would do, just to kind of cover your cut so you're not kind of having chili still in there. Again, we're just going to kind of swipe our chili into the bowl. So that bowl's now got your onion, your pepper and your chili in it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this into the wash and then come back and we'll do some garlic and ginger. So now what we're going to do is we're going to focus on our garlic and our ginger. So with the ginger, we're going to show you kind of how to peel the ginger, and then we're going to grate it. A couple of things that we can use here is I've got a handheld grater at home, which is really good to kind of grate that kind of small kind of surface area. If you don't have one of them, that's no problem. What you can do is you can use a normal grater if you want. Sometimes IKEA have kind of the two graters, so it's kind of this is the bigger hold one, and then you have one that's kind of like that, but like this. So you can kind of, what we'd always say is trying the finely grated graters, the better for ginger, but use whatever you have. So what we're going to do with the ginger is the best way that we find to get your ginger peeled is using the back of a spoon, and you're just going to go down on the flesh, and you'll see that it will start to peel away. I don't know if you can see this, but when you start to peel it, it should show some white flesh, yellowy white flesh. That's the ginger that you kind of want. So for this recipe, you want a 3 centimetre or 1.5 inches kind of stick of ginger if you will. So kind of, I would say that's about enough ginger that we need for our recipe. What I would say is don't cut it off and then then try and grate the ginger that you've got. What I would do is I'd get your veg bowl again, and I would grate straight, so you have a bit of the unpeeled ginger, and then just grate it. Just be careful with the graters as well, especially with the kids, is just so your hands don't go onto the sharp bit, you start to grate in your skin rather than your veg that you want to do, or your spice. So we kind of, it'll take a bit of time, but grating, just going up and down on the grater until you see you're kind of grating, looks like this. You're kind of done most of your ginger that you've kind of peeled away, and then all you do is use that back of the spoon again just to peel all that off your grater, because you'll have quite a bit in your grater too. Just put that into your veg bowl, and again leave that until you get to the next step. I mean, if you see that there's still parts of the ginger that you've not chopped up or you've not grated, but it doesn't have the skin on it, you can keep doing it, like what I've just found. Yeah, that's about it. Now, ginger, it's always great because it comes from a tree. It can be quite hard sometimes to grate. Just keep going, you'll get there. And again, just pushing all that ginger away. If you, like me, if you're in a rush, you can buy like diced or easy ginger that stops you from having to do all this. But I would say, for what it's worth, it's so much easier to actually just do it yourself. So that's your ginger done. Now we're going to move on to our garlic. So for garlic, we're going to use 4 cloves. A clove, it's not 4 full bulbs of garlic. How we say a clove is, it's just 1 part of the full garlic. That's 1 clove, so we're going to use 4 of them. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. First thing we've always got to do with our garlic is you want to peel it. So just peel the skin, and it's very similar to what the ginger was. You kind of want to peel the skin as much as you can until you see the yellow bulb, part of the bulb, and then you know you're at the flesh. Garlic's a great alternative if you want to do like low salt in your meals. Garlic's a great thing to have. We use garlic a lot in our recipes instead of salt to flavour it, along with other spices as well actually. The more flavourful you put your meals are, the less likely you'll need salt. So that's how it should look at the end of your peeling. So we're just going to do that for all 4 bulbs, 4 cloves. So just keep peeling. It usually comes off as quite easily with the garlic. Kind of go from the top would be my kind of hint and tip, would be always go from the top bit down, because that's where you can kind of peel the most. So yeah, keep going at it. And keep going a little bit more. Cool. So this is one that you might want to get the kids to do because it makes your hands smell, especially if you've got nails or anything on. So we'll just keep peeling away, and that's you got 4 peeled garlics. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put all the peel off the garlic and the ginger into the food waste. Just put that in there as well. So we've done the ginger, but now we're going to kind of look at the garlic. So in the recipe you'll see it says the garlic should be peeled and crushed. So we kind of, this is it peeled. You can use the back end, the end of the knife, and you can kind of usually press down on it. And actually kind of crushing the garlic. What I would say here is you can kind of chop it up slightly. What I would do is I would do the same as what the onions would be. So we would chop it long ways, and then how I kind of do it is I just randomly chop it up so it kind of goes finely. It does say crushed in the recipe, but I think the finer you do it, the better it will be. What I would do is discard the top bit. The top bit is kind of the root, so you still want to kind of get rid of that. You just keep doing that for all of them. So down with the crush it, and then kind of roughly chop. Now just keep going back over the other chopped bits of garlic you've already done, just to kind of make it all kind of go together. So we used to do Cookalong with Carrie back during the our COVID days, to reach our families and our family cooking groups. So the Penny Pit runs family and community cooking sessions throughout the year that run in our building, in our community kitchen. So if you ever want to kind of cook with us in person, you can always check out our website or social media, and that's where we kind of post our next cooking groups. It's always great fun, and you get to learn, you meet new people, but also you get to learn new skills. So after we've done that, we're going to put our garlic into our veg bowl. And now in here we have our onions that we chopped up, our peppers, our garlic and our ginger, and our chilli. So we've got quite a lot of veg in there. What we're going to do now is we're going to take it over to the pan and we're going to start cooking it. So I'll pause it there and then I'll meet you at the hob. So before we put our pan on, what we're going to do is we're going to put our spice mix together. So again, we're going to use our teaspoons and our tablespoons in order to make the spice mix. So first we're going to do mild chili powder. We're going to put a teaspoon in. This one I would be quite sparing on, just because it is still quite hot. Turmeric, we're going to add a teaspoon as well. Cumin, we're going to add 2 teaspoons. So remember, a teaspoon is about 5 grams. So 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons of coriander, and then garam masala, we're going to add a tablespoon of garam masala. You notice we don't say a heap teaspoon or anything like this, just a standard tea or tablespoon. And then we're going to do half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So again, kind of half your teaspoon, or if you've got a measuring spoon, you can use it and just put half in there as well. So that is your spice mix. What I would do is with the teaspoon you use to measure your spices, just give it a wee mix. Then it means when you go onto your hob and you start doing your frying of your vegetables, you've got your kind of spice mix already made. So now we're going to start cooking our veg. So first of all, we're going to go on to get a medium heat with the saucepan. Try and use a bit of a large saucepan for this because we are putting quite a lot of ingredients in. So you want to heat it up. You want to use low calorie cooking spray, and you want to just give it a couple of sprays. I'll use 4 sprays, 5 sprays there. And what you're going to do is you're going to heat the oil up. Once your oil is kind of at temperature, you want to add in your veg, so your onions, your peppers, your garlic, your chilli, your ginger. You want to add that into your frying pan. So, and you'll maybe hear it sizzle. What you're going to do with this is you're going to kind of cook it for 5 to 10 minutes until it's golden and soft, and then we're going to add our spices in. So, we'll just put it all in. Make sure you get all the veg in. With this, just mix it up, just so then kind of everything's kind of hitting the heat of the pan. So you're kind of waiting for your veg to get nice and soft and golden. You'll kind of see the best kind of veg to look at to get that golden, soft kind of texture would be your onions. Your onions are your best kind of gauge of that. So you want to just kind of keep mixing it around, making sure that we're kind of all the veg is getting its time for the heat. Let's just keep going. Because we do have chilies and onions there, you might start, your eyes might start beginning to water. But that is normal. So yeah, keep going. Kind of you'll hear it starting to sizzle. You're kind of waiting for that veg to go nice and golden. If it is your first time cooking, it'd be great to kind of see all your photos and all your videos of you doing cooking along with us. You'll see it's starting to kind of turn into maybe a little bit softer. You'll feel it using your spoon or your spatula. So yeah, just keep kind of moving it around the pan, getting it all nice and coated in the oil. And keep moving it around. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but you can see that it's kind of changed colour slightly into a more yellowy. So we're going to leave that for just a couple of minutes and then we'll add our spices. I think that this would be a great time for anyone to do the washing up, maybe the kids. It's always great to get kids cooking with you, not only because it's a great life skill to understand how our food is made, but it's also so they have ownership into kind of what they've made and they're more likely to eat it. So we always advocate quite strongly that kids should be in the kitchen cooking. And a great, if they make the meal, then they're more likely to sit around the table and try new things. So, right, so you can see that it's kind of, it's getting there, our veggies. So you'll notice as well that it's kind of went down a little bit. Like I said earlier, it's kind of, it looks quite a lot when it goes into the pan, but actually it will start to kind of wilt down, especially the onions. So I'm just going to keep okay, so you'll see now that it's went slightly a different colour. It's went a little bit more yellow, and it's soft. The veg isn't hard anymore. So I think what we'll do now is we'll add in our spice mix. So we're just going to pour in all that spices that we made in that bowl, and you're just going to kind of make sure that all the veg is coated with that lovely mix. And then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of let it fry even a little bit more for another couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, before we add in our chopped tomatoes and our wet ingredients. Just put that back there. Wet ingredients. Whilst that's kind of frying off for that couple of minutes, you might want to put the kettle on to make our beef stock. So I'm going to turn the heat down slightly on that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make up our beef stock. So I'm going to use, just make sure you use a heat-proof jug. And what you want to try and make is you want to make a 400ml beef stock using 1 stock cube. So you'll hear the kettle behind me boiling away. Just try and keep stirring the spices just because you don't want it to stick to the pan at the bottom. Right, now that's the kettle finely boiled. What we're going to do is we're going to crumble a stock cube into our hot water. Always make sure when you're making stock, using a jug, you want to always make sure the water is filled up first before you add the stock cube in. We're now going to measure 400 of boiling water. Okay, so that's 400 mils of boiling water, and then all we're going to do is we're going to crumble in that stock cube. And then all you want to do now is, once you've crumbled in your stock cube, is just kind of stir it until all the bits at the bottom, you'll see there's bits floating in the bottom, until there's none of that left. If you want to keep going. Okay, you'll see that it's okay to have a little bit left, because when we go to our final dish, because we're starting to kind of heat it through for a good 15-20 minutes, they'll end up dissolving anyway. Okay, back to our hob. Just turn that off when I was putting that stock on, just because I was talking through stuff. What we're going to do now is, now that we've got our veg and it's kind of been frying for 2 to 3 minutes with the herbs in it and spices, we're going to add chopped tomatoes, we're going to add our beef stock, and we're going to add some tomato puree as well. So we're just going to add the beef stock. We're going to add 1 tin of chopped tomatoes. And then we're going to add 1 tablespoon, of tomato puree. If you don't think it looks a lot, you can add another bit. What we always say as well is to add just a small bit of sugar, maybe 1 teaspoon of sugar, and this will just help bring out the flavour of the tomatoes. So we just do 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then what you're going to do after this is just going to mix it all in, kind of make sure it's all mixed in nicely. The tomato along with all the spices and the veg. And then after that, you're going to kind of lower the heat, make sure it's, well, bring it up to boil. Then you'll lower the heat, and you'll kind of simmer it for about 15 minutes. Basically, kind of what you're looking out for with the sauce is that it's nice and thick. Once it's thickened, that's when you know your sauce is ready. Whilst this sauce is cooking, I'm just going to get a lid for the saucepan. So when this is cooking, actually, sorry, it's uncovered, so you don't need a lid for your saucepan, actually. Okay, what we're going to do now is when this is all kind of cooking away and simmering away, we're going to put our meatballs on to cook. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to put our meatballs in to cook. So, kind of for this recipe, we're going to use an air fryer, but you can put it just into a normal oven as well. We would say kind of 200 degrees for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, until the meat is cooked all the way through, brown and golden. So, what we're going to do is we're going to put the air fryer on. We're going to take our meat out of the fridge. So our meat is how we've done it before. It's all rolled out. It's nice and chilled. And how we're going to do it is we're going to put it into the air fryer. So all air fryers kind of work differently. My one's a Ninja. But what we're going to do is we're going to put it on for 200 degrees for 10 minutes, or until it's kind of golden brown. So in my air fryer, you're just going to kind of put them in. I should probably be using lining in our air fryer, but it's okay. Okay, so we've got our kind of meatballs in. We go into the air fryer for 200 degrees for about 10 minutes. And then we're just going to press go. So our sauce is simmering away, our meatballs are on. Now we're going to focus on our rice to serve with it. So we're going to need cumin seeds, basmati rice, and what we'll do is we're going to start doing it on the hob. So come with me. So what we're going to do is we'll just get this set up. The camera set up so you can see kind of what's going on where. Sorry. So what we're going to do to start off with is you need 2 tablespoons of just normal vegetable oil. So we're just going to put 1, 2 in, along with your cumin seeds, which is going to be around about 1 tablespoon. So we'll just get them. And then what you're going to do is you're going to heat up the pan, heat up the oil. This is a quick and easy Indian rice recipe. That should say I saw on a TV programme. That's how I kind of picked it up. So our cumin seeds are in. So what you're going to do is your cumin seeds are in. You can see that it's in the kind of oil. You want to fry them, and you want to fry them until they're kind of black. So just make sure you're kind of mixing them as well in the hot oil. This rice from the frying stage until getting cooked, it takes around about 10 minutes. Now we kind of measure out how much rice to put in. To start a family of 4, have a builder's cup of builder's mug, and it's kind of how many, if you put the rice in, it's 1 builder's mug of rice to every 2 of water. So you're kind of frying it away. You'll see it's starting to change colour. So you'll see that it's starting to get a bit more brown. That's when we add our rice in. And you want it to try and absorb most of the oil. That's when we kind of are starting. Get most of the oil absorbed in. you're just tossing the rice just so then that cumin flavour goes across all the rice. Once you've done that, you're going to put 2 mugs of cold water in. Now, you might think that looks like a lot of water to your rice, but it does absorb it really quite quickly. After your rice is all absorbed, then you want to put the lid on tightly and switch off the heat and leave it for 10 minutes, and then your rice is done. So you'll see it kind of starting to absorb. Along with, so then your sauce should be kind of bubbling away nicely. You've got your rice going on the go. So your sauce is kind of bubbling away. We've got our rice kind of absorbing that nice water. And our meatballs are nearly done. We've got 1 minute left in our meatballs until they are cooked. Sometimes air fryers give you like an option to kind of shake the basket. If it does happen, you can give it a wee shake to make sure that the meatballs are kind of cooking right. I'll show you what the meatballs look like just now in my air fryer. It's kind of, they're all getting nice and golden, and they're all quite they're really cooked actually. You might want to give it a nice wee shake just to make them nice and golden all the way around. So you'll see now that the rice is still kind of boiling away. So just keep kind of stirring it as much as you can. Kind of keep it boiling, kind of keep it cooking, try and keep it absorbing all the water. At this point your meatballs are done, so I would leave them in your air fryer until you're ready to serve, but they look really good. If you've got a keep warm function on your air fryer, I would maybe put your meatballs into that. And then just when you see it absorbing, you've still got another about 5-10ish minutes on your sauce until it's done, so just keep stirring that as well until it's thick. This sauce would also, if you've got some left over, you can maybe cool it down, blitz it, and then you can maybe put chicken through it and make a chicken madras. So you'll see that it's kind of ferociously boiling away now, your rice. So you kind of want to make sure it absorbs most of the water. It might look like it's not going to absorb, but trust me, it will. It's usually quite quick once it gets to this point. So yeah, keep stirring it. Until it's all absorbed. If you want, you can kind of put your heat up slightly on it just to try and get it to cook a little bit faster and to absorb a little bit faster. That's nearly done actually. At this point, it should kind of look at the consistency of like rice pudding as such. So just kind of keep stirring it, make sure it's all kind of going in. And then once you've kind of got to the stage where, yeah, it's kind of like this actually, that it's kind of more rice than it is water, you can kind of see this consistency is kind of changed slightly. What you're going to do is you're going to take it off the heat. So with your knob, turn the heat off. What I would do as well is I normally take it off the hot hob that it's in, and you put a lid on, and that is done. Wait 10 minutes and that'll be your rice done. So just leave it, don't touch it, don't open up the lid, just leave it to steam away for 10 minutes. So on our website we have loads of our recipes that we have used over the years. We have our Cookalong Live Come recipes that we did back in our COVID days. We also have a lot of our school recipes and our lunch club and cooking group recipes. So that's all on our website. If you go on at www.pennypittrust.com, that has all our recipes that you can try out at home. What we're going to do right now is we've got our meatballs that are done, our sauce that's still simmering away, and we've got our rice that still got another 5 minutes of our rice. So I'm going to do the washing up whilst I wait, and then let's check back in a couple of minutes and we'll see what our final result is. So now that that's the washing up done, what we're going to do now is we're going to start plating up our meal. So our meatballs are done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bowl. What you want to do is you want to put your rice, you want to put the rice, meatballs, and then your sauce on top. If your kids are, if you feel like your kids might see your veg, because this is what your curry should be looking at like just now. If your kids will see it and you don't want them to see the veg that's involved, then that's fine. What you can do at this stage is you can kind of blitz it, and it should make a smooth sauce. If your kids don't, or if you don't worry, if you don't really mind them being a bit chunky, then that's it done as well. What we're going to do is we're just going to take that off the heat with our rice. It's been 10 minutes, and you'll see that all your rice is kind of cooked and ready to eat. So you just want to give it a mix, fluff it up slightly. But your rice is done. And then all you want to do is plate up. So to your plate, you're going to put a nice rice serve in. To your plate. Then you're going to go over to your air fryer. With your air fryer, you're going to take a couple of the meatballs out, quite big. Mind the air fryer still might be quite hot, so just be careful on the sides of it. People don't understand how hot air fryers can actually get. Okay. So it should look like this just now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it back over to where our sauce is. And we're just going to take the sauce and you're going to kind of put it over your meatballs. So you just want to put it over your meatballs like so. You might want to make it, you might want to put some over your rice as well. And the best part now is tasting it. So that is your masala meatballs with Indian fried rice. So let's taste it. What we usually have at home when we do this is we kind of have like flatbread with it. Just get that out. So what you can get in the shops, and pretty much every shop does it, is like these. Like you can toast and then you can dip into it. But I'm just gonna sit down and we'll try it. Okay. The moment of truth. This is a penny pit first. We've never actually made this recipe with our penny pit in our sessions. So, oops, I get a bigger bit. Top. That's really good. Really good. So, that is how you make masala meatballs with Indian rice. Follow us for more recipes and ideas for cooking, and I'll see you next week when we make another delicious recipe. Bye.